I've been in some good units and I've been in bad units.
Sure.
But you always try to find a connection.
Did you have like a structured plan for your transition?
Like, be vulnerable. If a nonprofit offers you to go on a trip, be vulnerable enough, go on it. Be vulnerable enough to sit around with a friend, right? And just talk. Be vulnerable enough to ask for help.
Yeah. Tell me about your journey to archery and healing.
We can say, oh my God, there's over 45,000 veteran nonprofits, right? We need more. Laying on a couch isn't for everybody. Journaling maybe isn't for everybody. Archery isn't going to be for everybody. But before you start transitioning, if there isn't anything that's sparking you, you're like, find something.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Holman, an Army veteran who served in the Medical Service Corps. These days, I work as a technical recruiter in the cleared space here at MetroStar. We know how important these conversations are to the military community, and we're honored to provide a platform for sharing insights, making connections, and building resources for transitioning service members. This is Civvies, a podcast by MetroStar.
Welcome to MetroStar's Civvies Podcast, where we're making it our mission to make your military transition just a little bit better by talking to veterans that have gone before you. I'm your host, Stephanie Holman, and joining us today is Dan Horgan. If you're following him on LinkedIn, he needs no introduction. I would describe you, Dan, as someone that's worn many hats, and you're in a hat today, which is fitting. You've been director of marketing, you're a brand evangelist, Air Force veteran, military spouse. This one I have a little bit of an issue with, self-described aspiring photographer. You're a phenomenal photographer, and we're going to show some of your work on this. But then archery enthusiast, which I don't know, too much about. So Dan, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on Civvies with us.
Stephanie, thank you so much. Yes, no, I'll get into all of that because there are photographers out there who blow me away. I am still an amateur and aspiring for sure. Like some of the people that I look up to and their talent who are veterans themselves are phenomenal. Yeah. Like I said, we're going to show some of your work for the audience. Oh boy.
Because I'm a huge fan of it. I absolutely love it. But to jump in, I know a lot of the folks out there that are in the process of transitioning or newly transitioned, they want to know, right, your story and others. So you served in the Air Force for 12 years. Tell us just a little bit about what you did in the Air Force.
Yeah. So it's really it's crazy. So actually 24 years total, but it's right. So it's just the active duty from 91 to 2000.
Okay.
Then went into the Air Force Reserves.
Got it. Okay.
And then from the Air Force Reserves, switched over to the Air National Guard.
Okay.
Right. And then I actually didn't do all my drills because that's another story. I was a cop, right, and stuff.
Right.
So I ended up retiring with 21 good years.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But in my retirement, I retired from the Oklahoma Air Guard is where my retirement's actually from. But I have about 14 active duty years total out of all that.
Gotcha. And then you went reserves. And when we were going over your story again, back to the hats, I'm like, you've worn so many different hats, and lived many, many lives, right? So you served, in the military, and then you joined the police department, the Baltimore Police Department at some point.
Yeah. So 9/11 happened. And I would tell you, it's even a funny story, and it's not even on my LinkedIn. When I got off of that straight real active duty and I was into the reserves, I actually worked at a company called MBNA. It's a bank. It used to have credit cards. Yeah. And I was actually a credit analyst.
Okay.
Yeah, for a few months. But then 9/11 happened. And so I was security forces back then. Mm-hmm. And so got activated on orders, and we were at Andrews. And while on those orders at Andrews, as an Air Force cop, I was working with people who their civilian jobs, right, were like I had New Jersey troopers or Virginia troopers.
Right.
One of my good partners was a DC cop. So that civilian police mindset was so ingrained. And so I applied while I was on those orders. I applied for the Baltimore Police Department, and just stars aligning timing. Right when my orders were ending in January of 2003 is when the Baltimore Police Academy was starting. And I got accepted, and was there from 2003 to 2010.
Yeah, and the rest is kind of history. Before
Yeah,
we
right.
we get into your transition story, there was a part about with your military service, and that you did military funerals at Arlington National Cemetery, and
Yep.
I just have such tremendous respect for you being able to do that. Especially for the family members, right, that are burying their loved ones, excuse me. I've been to, thankfully, not many military funerals, just a couple, but I just remember the precision, of the execution of the events, and it was beautiful to watch, and such a tribute. So I have to call that out, Dan.
No,
because
that was fabulous. I mean, that was the beginning of my career. So I got recruited when I was it was security police back in the early days, not security forces. Yeah.
Didn't know that. Okay.
Oh yeah. In the 90s. So I was in the security police academy, and they did a recruiting trip, and then got recruited and made it. And so that was my first 2 years in the Air Force, was that special duty assignment. The Air Force guys are stationed, and gals are Bowling Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it's right full time, and and that precision is for the level of it is the respect you're doing, because it's presidential support other than Arlington too. So the level of that, but hundreds of funerals. And I talk about it with my kids, because I probably don't cry a lot and stuff like that. And it's one of those, you get very trained, and because you watch family members and you can hear family members, crying. Mm-hmm. But you can't, in that position, show the emotion.
Right.
So, yeah, like I had to my grandfather passed away when I was doing it, and I actually handed it off the flag to my grandmother.
Oh,
the whole, thank you for the service.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And were you able to maintain emotionally and get through that? Yeah, I have such respect for that. And going back to what you said, it demands a level of precision from start to finish. So thank you for doing that. Let's jump into your military transition. And I've got a lot of hot questions. Some of these we ask our audience, right? We're like, hey, if you're coming up on a transition, what would you want to know from someone that's been through this? So this is actually one of them. And the first question here is, when you were preparing to separate, what did you think civilian life would look like? Did you have an idea, and was it what you thought it was, or was it wildly different?
I think it was wildly different. My wife would laugh. So even though I was guard at that time, I was full-time guard. So it's just like active duty, right? And and it's one of those, I thought I could do anything. I applied to be the store manager at a boot barn.
Okay.
I was like, I can do operations. I can manage a boot barn.
Sure.
I applied to be a principal at a school.
Okay.
My wife is like, you have done none of those things. Like, what do you like? And I'm like, I can do those. And so it's that mindset of, right. And that's, I think when we talk about military transition, and it's not ego, but you do so much. And then you look over in the civilian world, and you're just like, I can do that. And, but in reality, some of those myths, like, no, like I don't think I could have been a school principal, right? Or I don't think I probably would have done well.
Were there any parts of civilian culture that just felt strange after being in the military for so long?
Yeah, well, I think less, when I say less structure, I mean, there's structure, but I would say you can wear what you want. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing, right? I mean, being able to wear a shirt and I would tell you even now where I'm at now, we say business casual. And for the first week, for sure, I was wearing, some good khaki pants and a collared shirt. And now learning like in week 2, well, I've been here about a month now, but week 2 into it, I was like, oh, we can wear jeans. Okay. I get like, it's not written, but so some of that mentality of like, there's no AFIs, right? So I'm thinking Air Force, whatever was it, 362903, right?
Remember, it's still in you. Yeah.
There's no AFIs on what you have to wear and how you wear it, even though we say business casual, like that's just a thing. So I think that's something to think about too. Yeah.
So did little things like what to wear, did that stress you out?
Yeah, because you want to look good. I mean, so, honor guard days, back in the day, like BDUs, like we had to iron those, right? And your pockets were sewn down because you don't really use those out anyway. That carried into my career when, the Air Force went over to the ABUs, right? I had those pockets even sewn down. And so it did. So it carries over to like, without that uniform, like I can't show up with a wrinkly shirt. So I still like to this day, years, I don't even know, 20 some, whatever like I still iron. Right. And most people were like, well, of course you iron. I don't know, man. Kids nowadays, like I'm trying to teach my 12-year-old how to iron.
It's a lost art. Yeah.
So I think it is. So I think stuff like that, though, you have to, you gotta be like, so that's what I brought over. Like I'm still going to look good, like good.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but your transition out of the military and then into the police department, it reads like it was a pretty smooth transition. Was it smooth? Was that the reality of it? Or talk to me just a little bit about that. What were the first few months like?
Yeah, it was like, so going from, and then, so I was like, so that was Air Force Reserves. And then I went over, and then I even switched over to the Guard during that. It is, but then and so when we talk about the military too, right? The total service, like the Reserves, Guard, and active duty, it's all the military. So it is, and then it isn't. So being in an academy setting, like especially when you first started, I'm in the academy, and then I still have drills.
Right.
Well, like I'm in an academy Monday through Friday, and then I have them do a drill. So if I miss a drill, like if something's going on, it's not smooth. So when we talk about a transition, especially like for those folks that are Guard or Reserves, and then have those civilian jobs, that's tough. Like it is, like I said, I did 24 years, but really, my official retirement, it's only 21.
Right.
So, yeah. So, but it's because then it's prioritizing, right? Because the military, the Air Force, right? Even though you're part-time, like they want you, like you need to be there.
Right.
And then your civilian job, who's paying you, right? They're like, well, we don't care about your part-time job. We hired you to do this job.
Right.
So there is a level of, especially for that. And then even when I talk about my transition, even when I retired, even I retired, that's a true transition there. No, I would say like I cheated. I've talked about it kind of before. When I say I cheated is I did defense contracting. I was like, great, I'll just go over to Afghanistan with an aviation company and do my JTAC skills.
Right. I'm glad. I want to go back to just the balance between someone that's in the National Guard or the Reserve and they're balancing their civilian career. I was in the Air Force Reserve and, 1 foot in the military, 1 foot out with my civilian career. And there came a point where my civilian career started to kind of take off. Right.
Sure.
And I remembered there was it's like a 35-day stretch where I didn't have a single day off between the two because there was like a TDY mixed in, and I was just so exhausted from that. And I had that first thought of like, where am I going with this? Right? How am I going to balance? And I'm glad that you touched on that because the transition for someone, especially that has been National Guard or Reserves, it's a little bit different from
it really is. Yep.
From active duty, and it can keep evolving and changing as your civilian job evolves and changes with more demands. Did you have like a structured plan for your transition? You said you kind of cheated, but like, so tell me about it.
No, So, I mean, I think where LinkedIn and really, right. And I know, I say I harp on it. I love the platform. I was talking to a friend yesterday. He's in a transition and he's talking not with the military doing something else, but he was talking about Indeed. And I was like, LinkedIn, brother. And he's like, oh, you can look for jobs on LinkedIn. And I was like, boom.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. Anyway, but when I say back then, so, again, when I became a full-time like police officer, that was 2003. So, right. But even when I retired, that was 2016. I don't know if was LinkedIn. I can't even remember if LinkedIn was a thing. It might've been, but there was not, no, it was not structured.
Right.
It was, but there was networking. And so, a lot of people even I do it, right? If I like to throw out my brilliant advice of networking is going to get it for you, it's because even without or before like a LinkedIn thing, like that's how I got it, because it was your network. And so for me, so I was a TACP, I was a JTAC when I retired, and that's the network I used that landed my role to work in Afghanistan.
Okay.
So it was, without using like the internet and that kind of stuff, it was, still that network that did it.
Right.
It was just kind of like, it was just scattered.
Yeah. Okay. So, and sorry to interrupt you there, but talk to me about like, how did you trip on LinkedIn? Right. Cause I'm seeing a lot of folks that they're not on it. They're not active on it. They don't necessarily see the value there. And it's not because they don't think it's not valuable. They just haven't been exposed to it. So like, did you go to an event and that's how you heard of LinkedIn? Did you kind of trip upon it? Like, where did you start with it?
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to look at my LinkedIn right now to
go backwards
when I got on, right? It gives you like the since date. I couldn't even tell you. But I can tell you though, like I was using it started really using it well before. So I was with Black Rifle. And so I remember, and then I ran the Black Rifle company page,
right,
as an additional duty, right? Like, hey, Danny, go, you can have this. And, so that was even 2018, but I was using it before then. So it probably would have been around, I bet like 16, even when I was probably retiring and I started doing some of the things like that. But I couldn't even tell you, but from a 2000, let's just say it's 18, right? That's years. And like now I'm like, again, I don't get, like, you don't get paid. Like I don't have it monetized, but it's like it posts and it's grown. It is way more than a platform of finding a job. It's way more than a platform of selling something, because it really is a social media platform, and it's a way to again, that network and building stuff up. And that was the comment that I would tell you real quick that was made to me yesterday, was like, well, yeah, you have, 20,000 some followers or whatever. Right. And I'm like, but I've invested and I've built that. Right. And so it does take that time, but it's paid off. The job I'm sitting in now was literally our director of people I knew from actually Black Rifle days. And she reached out to me. And here I am. Yeah. So
the $1 million question is, would you recommend for service members that are transitioning from the military to get on LinkedIn?
They have to. It's a must. And I would tell you, even today, this morning, I sent out a Slack message to our team. We have about like 84 employees. And I sent a message out to them saying, I gave a little like, LinkedIn and the whole brand, and when you talk about a company and things like that. So I've been here about a month, and so that's why I'm trying to push them, because we don't have a lot, out of the 84, I actually don't know the numbers. There's maybe 20, and you're like, nope, like we need to crank that up for 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of value there. I'm going to jump here a little bit because it kind of relates. You are so active with the veteran community. I see a lot of your posts, your pictures, and what you're doing out there. Has that also helped with getting you connected to some of these organizations?
Yeah, it really has. And, and I see myself as such a small fish. Like I might be active, but there are so many more people out there that are even way more active. And so it's really nice. So I got invited. So that football game, was through Combined Arms. They do, yeah. And so, and it was a military, not even a military appreciation, but we got to go on the field. So they gave us a really on-field experience type of thing. But like those people, David, and here in San Antonio, like, Ray and Sam, and there's Quincy and Chuck works at USAA, and they're doing all these great things. And I'm just ecstatic, to like show up and be a part. And that's the thing. It's just even like the military.
Right.
Like organizations, an Army talk or Air Force talk, a squadron or a battalion take up so many people, and you all have to make it up. And so, that's what I like to be like. I like to come so I can take part in it, but if I then can help somebody, and the more of those people that all come and form that, then you have such a, right. And again, a cliche word, but the tribe.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what it becomes. And that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely seem like you've got a really good community around you. And back on your military transition, I have to ask, did you feel a loss of like a sense of identity, loss of community? Did you go through that? Everybody's transition's a little bit different. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you did.
Yeah. I'll only use it once. Radical transparency. Yeah, no, I feel that now.
You do? Okay.
Still. Yeah, no, it is such, because I've been in some good units and I've been in bad units.
Sure.
Right. And those bad units, like, unlike a civilian job, you just can't leave, but you always try to find a connection. And I can look at each one of those military units that I was with. I still have friends. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like my high school friends, the guy, Tim was my best friend in high school. Tim and I don't talk often now, but I can tell right now, like if I called him or we ran into each other, it would be hours. Right. And so those military friends are the same way. I really crave personally. And I think probably a lot of other veterans do too. You crave that. And so when I take a job and stuff, I would tell you again, after leaving Black Rifle for about like the past 2.5 years, like it's been a struggle because that's what I'm trying to find. And not that I'm not trying to find friends, because not that it was not good people.
Sure.
But I don't know, I don't know what the word is. It is, but it's that camaraderie. It's that tribe, trying to find that and then have it in there, because that's what you did in the military, right? Like after you got off work, you probably hung out together, or you hung out on the weekends together, and you did that. Right. Well, again, so someone, I make fun of the being institutionalized. When you did it for 20 years,
it's a good chunk of your life. Right.
Yeah. But I would even say 4 years, right? I mean, especially the way the military is, right? The bonding, mandatory fun days, right? You start doing that over and over, and it actually becomes something. And a lot of time on the civilian side, like you don't have that. I mean, it's 8 to 5, and then on Friday I'll see you on Monday. Right.
You touched on something that struck a chord with me about it. It's still a process for you, right? Mm-hmm. So I think one thing I've gotten with speaking with a lot of veterans or active duty service members now is that they either think or thought that a military transition would be like a single event, right? You go through the transition and then it's over and you move on to the next. But there are still many more transitions after that and assimilating to whatever environment you're in. And I just appreciate your honesty and openness about that.
Yeah, no, it's one thing I learned, and it's, you have to put yourself out there, and it is, but you use the word assimilating. So I've actually done some therapy sessions through the Headstrong Project.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, if you've heard of the Headstrong Project, they offer 30 sessions.
And these are free sessions, or?
Yep, veterans. Yep, look up the Headstrong Project, and they're not in every state. They're in about like 15 or 16 states.
Okay.
But they pay for it, right? When you get in, and it was pretty quick, and it was 30 sessions. I mean, in 30 sessions, and I was going once a week.
Yeah.
And that was part of it, was talking about that assimilation.
Okay.
Is where I was having, and I don't think I'm still having, but maybe having regardless. But it's that assimilation is really being able to come in, and just like, when we talk about PTS or things like that, like some people have it and some people don't. And it's just, yeah.
We'll definitely link that for anyone that's watching or listening, so you can get to that resource. I got to ask this as well. So when you were transitioning and leaving the military altogether, was there an emotion that just stands out above the rest that you struggled with, like frustration, uncertainty, or just excitement? It could be the complete opposite.
Apprehension. It's right, because you're leaving. I mean, it's almost, depending on anything, but like leaving to go to college, right? If you lived in Maryland and you're going to go to college in California, that apprehension, right? So you're leaving something, and that's what it was for me. Is that apprehension? Because it's like or even the first day of any school. It's the first day of school, right?
Right. You just don't. You have an idea.
First day of a new job, it is, and so leaving that was a bit of that apprehension of just like, Oof. Because like I could have stayed, right, and stayed in the guard.
Right.
But I was like, no, like I'm done.
You were ready. Yeah. I've heard that a lot because I do ask folks like, when did you know? And the kind of theme that I keep hearing is like, I just knew it was time. They just like knew it in their gut. So with the apprehension that you just mentioned, how did you stay grounded during that? So to just kind of stay level, through that and not be too like anxiety, filled with anxiety or spin out of control. Like, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I don't know if I did. So that's a bad answer. I didn't spin out of control, but I really dumped myself into my job to get that. When I say that again, so like even on the police side, right, was, working overtime and just, doing a level of the commitment for it.
Right.
And then same thing, even when 2016, when I'm in Afghanistan, I was the site lead over at Bagram and then down to Kandahar. And, if they needed me to stay extra days, which you're talking like 30 days, I'd be like, sure. And, so putting that level into it. And honestly, and my wife will be very thankful now because I'm a much better person, is I didn't, because I was working on me and I was doing that and thinking it was for the family, but it wasn't, right? And it was bad stuff. And so that's how I dealt with it, was really sinking myself into it. Same thing I think even when I was at like BRCC, again, not anything bad, but just the level of what I was putting into there, like staying like after hours, like again, it's a civilian job. Like you can leave at 5 and you're like, oh no, but we're all here. Like I want to stay with these people that I'm here because it's so much fun. And you're like,
go home, Dan.
It was, and I don't do that now anymore for sure. But I think that's how I was dealing with it, was just dumping myself into there because that was giving me that dopamine release and kind of fixing me. Yeah.
So who did you lean on for advice in your network? Were people just kind of giving you unsolicited advice because they knew that you were coming up?
I don't know if, again, I would say one person. I mean, there's been people, and I have really no problem mentioning them. Like Evan, right? Evan Hafer. Evan is a fabulous leader, from what he created to there. And right. I mean, if I absorbed 1% of any knowledge from him, I'm still like great. Like it is a lot like that, Yeah. He was great for a transition, like hearing, and seeing his story. One of the guys, he was a E9 TACP, so Chachi.
Oh, okay.
And Tim's running Hunter Set. Well, I say running. He's the COO for Hunter 7 Foundation. Yep. Working with Chelsea. And he's a leader, like he's someone, even about, I think a couple weeks ago, I was on the ledge about something, right, emotionally, and Tim has some really good emotional intelligence, and I had to text him, and I'm like, talk me off the ledge, brother.
Yeah.
He is still someone that I'll communicate with, right? But again, it's still some military connection sides,
right,
that I still rely on heavily.
If you could sit down with veterans right before they transition, what advice would you give them? Yeah,
use LinkedIn. I mean, that's not even trying to be funny. Like I say that, like you building your network, and there's a lot of other people, right? Michael Quinn, right, on LinkedIn.
Everybody knows Michael Quinn.
Right,
yeah.
Right, it is. It's it starts way before you transition, right? I mean, I'm not that guru. So I mean, even if I would say a year, like if probably a year out from and you're dropping your retirement, just start crushing, trying to build a network. And that's virtually from a LinkedIn to then going to some of these events, right? So in San Antonio, we have a ton of, we call them the Mill City meetups, and we do all these networking events. And I always feel bad, especially having a job. Like when I tell my boss or something that I'm going to a networking event, I'm like, I'm not job searching. I'm trying to be a resource for anybody.
Sure.
Again, just a cog in a wheel is to be there. Because networking can be just that too. It doesn't mean you're networking to find a job. It just means meeting people, right? And other veterans, really.
Just expanding your community.
Yeah. So I think they have to do that. They have to get into a virtual space. When I say virtual space, like a LinkedIn platform, and start building a network. And then they need to go physically, right? And start attending events, shaking some hands, kissing some babies, like get out there, do that. But then then find stuff, that they really want to do. So when we talk about archery and photography, like I picked up those after I got out. Like I didn't shoot a bow when I was in. I didn't take a single picture really when I was in. So it's, I would say even so before you start transitioning, if there isn't anything that's sparking you to, you're like, God, like I don't really do anything, find something.
Right.
Right.
Lean into it and find something. I want to go back to what you said with networking, not only utilizing these social platforms, right, that can be really powerful like LinkedIn to, increase your network, but going physically to a networking event. Most people hate it. No, I'm not going to throw out a wild percentage. I'm sure someone's done a research project or something and has that percentage, but I would just say generally, I think most people hate it.
My wife does. So she's still in. So being that middle spouse, and I've like drug her to 2. Yeah. And it's not
just
for her.
Not her jam. Yeah. Right. So is that something that is just like you're organically good at it and you're jazzed up about going, or do you have to get yourself in the mindset? To go.
My wife would say, I'm organically, I'm that nut job.
You're wired.
There's times, right? Because most of them, right. Just to be honest, as we talk about this, if someone's listening, I mean, they're usually like 6 or 6:30, right? Like they try to do them it's after work.
Right.
Well, if you're working 8 to 5, you're tired. Right. And so, there's days, right, when I'm tired but like I have to go because I know the value. Right. And so I don't know, again, like actually I can remember my very first one was here when we moved in 2018 from Oklahoma down, we PCS'd. And I went to, it's called Mill City Meetup. And we had it it was at a little brewery. And the guys from Grunt Style came and spoke and things like that. And I mean, you probably had about 150 people there mingling and doing all that kind of stuff. And it was super cool. And I've been going to them ever since. And we try to have them like once a month.
Yeah.
And so it is, there's, again, it goes to that apprehension. Like, I don't know anybody.
Right.
But that's where it's like people that are going, that's part of why. But I would tell you, like, you then know faces. It becomes I saw that guy from LinkedIn, and you got to just maybe have a little bit of that and be like, and we all wear name tags, which, right, I'm not that conformist, and sometimes I'll put the name tag like on my back,
nice.
Right, or something.
Change it up, yeah.
But it's still, and it is really neat and nice to see when it's someone's first time coming to one of these, and again, you can just talk and just find out like where you live, like, oh, well, where do you live in town? And I live here, you live there, and and just start. That's what it's about. It's not, hey, do you have a job open for me? It's not like that at all. Yeah.
Right. So just more informal conversations. Yeah. What has it become easier over time? Like for those that are listening and going, okay, I hear you, Dan, I still hate it. Like, is it going to become easier? Right. Will it become easier on the 5th time, the 10th time that I go out?
It does, because if people, like a social media, if you do it consistently, it will become easier, because you'll see a familiar face, right? Because say you've gone to 5, somewhere in there's probably been someone that you've seen like maybe twice, right? Because maybe someone doesn't go every time.
Sure.
But yes, it really does. And then, because then you bring somebody. And so now it's like, well, let me bring a friend.
Right.
And now at least if you and your friend don't talk to anybody, you have yourselves like you can talk to.
Right.
So it does become easier.
Thanks for sharing that, because I know there's going to be someone in the comments that's like, okay, I just need to hear this. Will it become easier? I want to go back on this because you said something really powerful right at the beginning of this episode, which was about if you don't have something that lights you up, right, that you love and you feel it, you feel the fire, I guess, find something. Right. So tell me about your journey to archery, hunting, and healing. How did you stumble into that? I know you just shared a little bit, but did someone drag you there? Did a friend introduce you? What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if he'd ever watch this. It was Evan Hafer. So Evan, he got into archery. So it was about 6 years ago now. The company was right. We want to own the outdoor space for coffee, right? And so we were going to shoot archery. And so a friend of Evan's, now kind of a friend of mine, John Dudley, shoots some archery and was with the company. And so we got these beautiful bows and had them engraved. And we had about 10 or 20, I forget what the number was. But we were going to gift them to employees, right? And get the employees. I mean, that's like a $2,000 bow.
Yeah, they're not cheap. Yeah. No. And you're talking 20. I'm over here doing the math.
So I was literally the inside story I would tell you is I had them here in San Antonio. So that we used to have a really big office here in San Antonio. And I was driving up to Salt Lake. So we were doing the first veteran adaptive shoot and we're doing a lot of we were really getting into it. And that was, so that would have been like 2020. And so I was driving, right? So little Dan we had a van and I was driving from here up to Salt Lake. It's about a 20-hour trip. So I stopped in Albuquerque for about 10 hours, right? In Albuquerque for the first night and then was going. So I'm 10 hours on the road. I hit Salt Lake and they're like, he's like, hey, this bow is yours. Let's get you dialed in. So here I am tired after a 10-hour trip, literally, slinging and dialing in my bow and touching a bow for the very first time. That was really like, I have that photo even of me. If people follow BRCC, like there's a parking lot and a warehouse and they still shoot bows in the parking lot and stuff. And I'm in there, me touching that bow. I still shoot with that same bow. I've had it restrung and I've gotten a new sight and things like that, but that's still the bow that I shot with last weekend. And it is, it's still a great bow. It's carbon fiber, so it's super light. It's fabulous. But it's been just, that was archery, but then there's a thing called Total Archery Challenge, right? So I'll name drop events. That's something that we got involved with. Yeti used to be the title sponsor, and then we took over the title sponsorship. And that was part of my duties was running events for that and my team and doing those. And the owner, his name is Sean. I still you talk about just mentorship with things. I just met with him last Friday night to run some ideas past him because I trust him in archery and then what he's created, because he's had Total Archery Challenge now for like 14 years. And from what it's grown to, it's just incredible. And every time, so the first one is Oklahoma. And so it just happened like the first weekend here in April. And I look at my wife and every time like something it is such an experience. So when we talk about like, what are you missing? Every April when that hits, like, and I joke and it's the cliche again, but my cup is overfilling. It's crazy. Yeah. I love it. And then Texas comes about another week later. And so now I'm probably not going to go to any more. So he'll go to different states because they're in different states, but I'll still shoot my bow. And it's just, it really is something that's because you're outside and then you're with people and you can talk and you can have fun. Like when we shot, again, if people follow along with any of my social media, we had Tiers, a buddy, he's, a Green Beret, right? And then Joey was Marine, Jeff was Navy, right? Bethany, my wife, shoots, and she's Air Force and I'm Air Force. But you can be out there and sure, we are super immature in the jokes and it's a really good time.
I love that. So it sounds like you recognize how much, like you said, this fills your cup, right? Yeah. And you've now prioritized it is what I got from that. So you're like every April, I'm going out there. Were there other things that you tried that you thought like, okay, I'm going to get into biking and I'm going to love it. And then you didn't like it?
No, everything. I do own a mountain bike, but I don't. So I would tell you, but there's another nonprofit called they're going to kill me. The Dirt Therapy Project. Okay.
We'll link that one too. Yeah, we'll put it in the comments. Project.
Yeah. Well, they mountain bike for therapy, right? I don't do that. Like, so I haven't even tried it, and I haven't, but I have one. I haven't specialized. It's a nice little bike because I broke my teeth as a teenager.
Ooh.
And so I probably have trauma of it just scares me. I don't want to go over my handlebars again. Right. And you watch all the memes on Instagram and reels and whatever. Right. And then someone hits a tree. So I'm like, nope, that's out. So I know that therapy isn't working for me.
Okay.
But no, I've done all the outdoor stuff like paddleboard and kayaking. Like I have a kayak and I have 2 paddleboards, the archery, photography. Right? I know you mentioned photography, but photography is my new thing that I'm combining with my archery. But I've been around that industry, and I say media, Black Rifle days, they were so media heavy. I was like, I'm going to get it, and I'm loving it. So that's going really like that. I'm loving that too.
Yeah. I love that there's different forms of therapy that we've covered, right? I think most folks, they think, okay, I'm going to go in and sit down with this counselor, psychologist. I'm going to lay on the couch, and sure, that's one form, right?
Sure,
but you can also get out, right? Get involved in something that just fires you up.
That's the thing, though. It's not everyone wants to shoot a bow, and that's the thing about some of the therapies. Laying on a couch isn't for everybody. Journaling maybe isn't for everybody. Archery isn't going to be for everybody, but it's one of those, if you love the outdoors, and if you ever want to try it, it's such a thing. And that's what it came to, because that's what we did. Because you see how excited I get.
I know your face just changed everything. Yeah.
Because we were taking people that had never shot, and I kind of was in there too. Hey, have you ever shot a bow? Nope. And we would, and say the whole team, there was a father-son, Isaacs. We call them the Isaacs. So it's Isaac Senior and Junior, who would literally be our bow techs. And so someone would come in and they would, because with a bow, there's so many things. You have to measure them, cut the arrows, and get it all dialed in, and teach them how to shoot. And there's all these techniques and stuff. And so it was doing from, it's the cradle to grave.
Sure.
Right. Type of mentality. Right. And so that's exactly, cradle to grave or zero to hero, however you want to but it's that type of mentality of doing it, but then letting them shoot a 3D course. Right. And so, and that's where we always had to make it, where if you were in, say, a wheelchair, right, or a track chair and everything. And so, because that's, again, the community, to try to be inclusive with that, to say, hey, my brother Jay, when I say my brother, Jay's not really my brother, but Jay Fain. Jay's an amputee all the way up to the hip. All right. I need Jay to be able to walk with me on this course. So sure, we're not going to be in Big Sky, Montana, maybe, right? Because Jay can't do that. Or there's actually another guy, Jason Tabansky's a world-class archer now, gold medalist for the Paralympics. And Jason has those track chairs. And then a friend of his, Leah, same thing, track chairs. And so we had to design a course that could get the track chairs even on it.
Okay.
And you just didn't want it to be, some lame, okay, here I am in some flat circle thing.
Right. You want to give them an experience, not just.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that was one of when we did those, that was again, a thing that has stayed with me and something that I want to keep doing. So yeah.
What I'm reminded of throughout this conversation is your ability to mention a laundry list of organizations and people. It just reminds me that there is a group out there for everyone.
Yeah, Steph, we can. There's two sides, right? We can say, oh my God, there's over 45,000 veteran nonprofits, right? But we still have people committing, veterans committing suicide.
Right.
So then that's the other side of the bucket. We need more. And I don't know, again, I don't know what the solution is, but there is. I mean, there's nonprofits that do creative writing for the veterans to help you write, because writing is good therapy and stuff like that. And it's just, and there was a story here in San Antonio, a veteran, he killed himself in front of the VA here. It's in the news. I won't get into specific. And it's just it's such just like, I don't even know, like, what would have helped him. Like, and again, I'm not pointing a finger at a VA. I'm sure other people will. I don't know specifics, but on the nonprofit side, it's just like, God, there's so many, but we still have people slipping through.
Right.
But, what's the answer? I don't know. But, again, if I had to say anything, it would just be like, if you're feeling away, Google it, chat GPT, call a friend. Cause like this brain, I have hundreds probably that are in my head that I could start rattling off to help somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's hard to talk about a one fits all solution,
Sure.
especially to veteran suicide. What the conclusion that I've come to is just show up in whatever way that you can, right? Yep. If that's showing up for one person, show up for one person. I think collectively, if we all do that and show up in the way that we can, we're going to help someone.
Sure.
Like, through the MetroStars Civvies podcast. Last question here on that. What do you say to a veteran that is hesitant to do, let's say, outdoor therapy?
True.
What do you say to them?
Yeah, you have to take it. It's not gonna. You got to take a chance, right? I mean, it's the same way when we joined the military. You didn't know really what it was. I mean, maybe somebody was in, like a dad or brother, who knows, an uncle, but you don't know, right? And so I think it's the same aspect, right? It's the same aspect of going to the networking events. Like, just like try it.
Just try it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just do it. And then be open, right? Just be open about it. Because again, most of them, someone's probably providing it to us when we say that, right? So a lot of these, not like, again, my first one, again, it wasn't the archery, but the kayaking down the Devil's River. Yeah. Like I was definitely apprehensive. Like, I've never really kayaked before. And then there's some rapids, but they're not. And then we're like, okay. And then you hear the story. The first one they did, a guy came, smashed his head.
Oh, no. Yeah.
You're like, okay.
I don't want my head. Yeah.
So I was doing some nonprofit work, for a little bit here in my time. And so one of them was called the Warrior Bonfire Program. So Purple Hearts, they take Purple Heart on some of these. And while I'm not a Purple Heart, I have my almost, right? But no one wants a Purple Heart. So that's great that I don't have one.
Right.
But they take them on outdoor stuff. And I got to go on one of the trips to kind of observe it, when we went to Idaho. And, these are, again, 5 guys and gals, but we didn't have any, female Purple Hearts on this trip. And, we took them fly fishing and, and then went rafting and things like that. And you can see it, like, you bring people together and you got to be open. And that's, so to go back, someone's probably providing it to them for 2 months. Right. So, it's like someone brings you lunch, like, accept it, eat it, like, right.
Right. I love the simplicity of your response here of just do it. Yeah. Just do it. And then don't overthink it. Don't start thinking about the guy that knocked his head on the kayak. Don't talk yourself out of it.
Right.
Just do it. That's super important. We got to talk about your photography. I think it is such a cool, way to creatively express yourself. How did you get into it?
Yeah. So BRCC, right? While it's a coffee company, really back in the day too, was so heavy in the media, and I got to just be around it. So absorbing, like OJT, just watching it, from the videography and the photography. So, and those are two different, right? And so I like photography. I'm still photography. And so it was just recent. My neighbor, Matt, I would even, again, here in San Antonio, Matt takes professional headshots.
Cool.
He stopped doing what he did and started his own thing, and he takes professional headshots. And so it just became one of those like, let me try it. And then when I say that, yeah, I mean, I've spent $4,000, right? So my Sony and my lens are $4,000. And, but it was like, okay. And now I start taking them, but then I learned something from my buddy Cam. I learned something from my buddy William. I learned something from my neighbor Matt. And you learn from, professional photographers, stuff that you already know. And then it comes down to even editing, right? And so able to edit some, and that's really, Ken, it's fun to see a progression from like the first photo that I probably have taken with my phone to the first photo I took from when I first got the camera. Someone actually on Instagram, this guy Woody, we were doing a shoot, and he's a professional photographer. He's like, dude, you've come like a long way, like in about 2 months.
Very cool. That's a huge compliment. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I'm liking it.
Do you remember the first photo that you took where I don't know if you had a moment where you were like, wow, I'm actually kind of good at this.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think like I remember like the first photo, but I can tell you, I think the first time, and I know somebody asked me to take a photo. So my buddy Joey, so Joey's a Marine Corps veteran. He does mortgages. And I shot with him over the weekend. He lives here in town, and he's like, hey, can you take family portraits? And my comment was, Joey, I don't like, I'm not a photographer.
I'm the wrong guy. Yeah.
I might have the equipment. I'm not a photographer to take family portraits. And he was like, dude, just come up. So Cam, so I learned a little bit about lighting. And so like, all right, we'll try to do around like 5 p.m., the sun's setting, try to get you behind.
Sure.
But he was just going to use his backyard. Like he didn't want to go. So I was like, okay, well now I'm limited on that. But now I'm getting to that photography diva level with them. No. And I took those. Yeah. And egotistically, they came out good. Right. And Joey and his wife, Sarah, really liked them. And I was like, okay, like these are good. Like, and I keep 2 of them, like from his photo shoot, like on my phone. Just like to be like, hey, yeah. So I think that was probably really the first time I was like, okay, like I'm not bad, but I don't make any money from it. Like I'm not doing it as a business really. I think now it's more, I picked up that skill too for me to do marketing. Right. Like it's one of those added skills. If I can kind of do it for myself, like I would never want to take business away from a professional photographer, but
sure.
Crawl, walk, run, right? In the military, crawl, walk, run. If I can get me through maybe a crawl, walk phase on something, right, for it, and then maybe have to pay for the run, great. Instead of having to pay for that all the way up, even for the crawl and walk.
Yeah. I think, this rolls into the next thing, which is like photography is a lot about perspective, right? And how you see things. I have to ask this. Has it helped you reframe the way you see challenges in your life too? Because you're looking through a different lens. And
it really does, because I think what it does, it's even like the archery. And then when I talk about photography, so like right now, yeah, like that would be, if I could do archery and photography full time, but again, I don't know how that pays, what that
sure.
is, like those things. And so when I don't have a bow or a camera in my hand, like I feel like you feel like you're wasting away. Like I'm losing, because like every skill, it's perishable. And so when I'm not doing it, it is. So my perspective always is like, you have to keep, like, you always got to keep doing not keep doing everything, but like working out to, I don't talk about faith much, but like praying, right? And like, you have to keep doing those things. And so I think that's where photography has taken me, is keeping me like, you have to keep doing to get better and better.
Yeah. Well, your photos are beautiful, and I hope that you do keep doing it. And
no, I will. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cause I think you're very, very talented. Last big question here for you, for any veteran listening today who feels just lost or unsure of what's next. What do you want them to take away from this episode with you?
Yeah. I would say, and don't be vulnerable, right? Like you don't have to cry, right? But and like I won't cry often, but I can sometimes find myself now because I have let myself, right? And that's through some of the therapy. And it's not that you're, and a lot of some guys could, I'm sure, and even women, I'm sure, could be like, oh God, right? So, but I think it's that vulnerable, but that vulnerability can come in so many levels. Like, be yourself vulnerable to go to one of those networking events, right? Don't be the tough guy or gal saying, I'm not going to go to that, or I don't want to go to that, or if a nonprofit offers you to go on a trip, right? And don't be like, oh, well, I don't need that, or I don't want to do it, or whatever. Like, be vulnerable enough, go on it, right? Be vulnerable enough to sit around with a friend, right? And just talk. You know, and so I think that's what I want, like, you know, be vulnerable enough to ask for help. Like we talk about this, and again, not to go deep, but with that question, it goes to that vulnerability, is to say, hey, I need help. Right. And, you know, out of the 45,000 nonprofits or the VA, right? The VA can actually help you too. Right. But out of those, like what, like I need help. Because that's even how I was, like, when I say, before I was doing my therapy and even my VA rating, when I just got sufficed at one level and people were like, no, you're probably a little bit higher. Right. Is to be vulnerable enough to say, okay, great. What do I need to do? Right. And so to ask for that help, be vulnerable in so many levels of it is what I would want them to really get out of it, because life's too short, right? Not that I'm getting older, but you're getting older. It's too short.
Right.
Yeah. And there's a ton to live for and to be around. Not to get morbid, but I was talking to my son and I'm like, I maybe have 25 more years. Like, that's such cool. Like, you know, and you start thinking about that, but in 25 years, he's 12, like he's going to be almost 40 or something, right? To do that math.
Right.
Like,
right.
Crazy.
Yeah. We're all on the same train, and hopefully we stay on the train and don't get off, you know, prematurely. So, aging is a good thing. I always try to put that out there. Stay active. I think you got more than 25 years though, Dan. And well,
I say that, right? You look at an average, but it goes into that though. So you think about, again, like I think about when I was 35. So I didn't become a TACP and a JTAC until I was 35. I was older in my life, and it was some of the best shape and stuff that I was ever done. But like that guy, you know, isn't the guy that I am now. And would I have loved to have that emotional intelligence and that knowledge? And that's what I've been trying to impart, right? Like that 35, you know, guy, gal who's hearing maybe this, is to be like, okay, like don't wait till you're 53 to have, you know, a knowledge bomb dropped on you. Be vulnerable, like, you know, ask for that help, or just be vulnerable enough to get on Google and Google it yourself. And then get out there and do it. Yeah.
I love that you touch on, this is something personal to me. I always say, give yourself the grace and space to change, evolve, adapt. And I love that about your story, right? You're not 35-year-old Dan. And I know 35, it seems like somewhat middle-aged, I guess, or that you're done. You've kind of figured out who you are at 35. Well, no, it doesn't sound like it, right?
Not at all.
There's a whole other chapter. That
no idea what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
Yeah. But I'm sure you're going to be vulnerable and keep figuring it out.
Oh, 100%, you know, and because again, even to take it back to a LinkedIn and just a world in general, your network, when you have a support group, right, you can fall flat on your face. Yeah. Right. And be butt broke and not have something, but like, you know, it's the get back up, right? You get back up and keep going at it. And, you know, and, you know, I like all my jobs, like, again, these 2.5 years, we didn't even get into that, and I won't. Like, I know we're wrapping it up, but you know, it's just, I was looking for a job, and it's taken me like on average like seven weeks, is like the longest. But even that's a scary feeling, and there's people out there a lot longer still looking for it. But it's going to happen, and hopefully there's resources and people helping. Yeah.
And hopefully that resiliency, right, kicks in, and like the archery piece that we were talking about, of being able to slow your mind just down, right, and be in that moment and not get drowned in the what ifs of, you know, get overwhelmed with that. So
those what ifs, right, that's like a horror movie.
Right. Yeah. It's just never ending noise that can really bring somebody down. Dan, thank you so much for joining MetroStar's Civvies podcast. We really appreciate your time. Where can our audience find you? Do you want them to look you up on LinkedIn?
I always hate that. I'm on LinkedIn, right? It's Dan Horgan. It's me. It's my real face. It's me. Same thing with, you know, Instagram. Those are my two really favorite platforms, because Instagram gives you really good aesthetics. Same thing. So LinkedIn, it's Dan Horgan. And then on Instagram, it's Dan _ Horgan _ and I do have a Facebook, but you don't have to, like, I'm not a big Facebook guy.
Yeah.
But those two, I mean, I'd love for, if anyone wants to follow along or see what I'm putting out there. And because again, like I love spouting out like other, like we talk about brand evangelism. Yeah, it might be, you know, a brand, but also like I love like the nonprofits because they need to be shouted from the rooftop. So
right.
Yep.
Right. Very cool. Well, thank you again for being
Thanks,
here.
Stephanie.
You heard it from Dan directly. You can connect with him on LinkedIn. And obviously we hope you continue to follow MetroStar's Civvies Podcast.